Mega Evolution. Other than that, I think Venusaur is probably the best Mega out there. But there's not a whole lot really going into how I'm picking the order of the Pokemon. It's basically the same lead out that we've been going with. Klefki's really good for scouting. It's going to do some initial damage. And then it's got a decent amount of resistances. It's also pretty bulky, so even if it gets a shot straight to the face, it may still survive. There's some times where it doesn't, but you're still going to be able to set up at least against one Pokemon, set it up for the rest of the Pokemon. But we do see an Arcanine coming straight out, and that hurts. That hurts my feelings. So we've got the opportunity to switch out into a lot of different things. Mainly we've got Marilyn that can come in, and we also have Diggersby that can come in. Both of those Pokemon are weak to grass moves, and I believe the Arcanine has Sunny Day, which he can set up, as well as having Solar Beam. So if this was a Solar Beam setup, that would be a little scary. But he's not over-predicting too much, doesn't want to predict the switch. Thinks that I'll probably... This is one thing about playing against me. You're not positive whether I'm going to take the risk and paralyze your Pokemon or Swagger against you, because Swagger risks I will take a lot of times. But today against Arcanine, seeing some of the other Pokemon that were threatening in there, I just didn't want to risk it too much. And nice, Toxicroak. Oh, Dry Skin. Dry Skin! Absorbs that pretty nicely. Alright. So I don't really want to switch into Diggersby, knowing that Diggersby is... I mean, he's a normal type, so if you get a fighting move straight into Diggersby, he's dead. The other option is that there's a poison move coming out of Toxicroak, and so you could resist that with either Gengar or Venusaur. Venusaur doesn't resist it quite as well, just because Venusaur is, well, a grass type as well. So that's why I ended up picking up on Gengar. Sucker Punch is going to OHKO Gengar right away. Sucker Punch is always a risk that you run into with a Gengar. That's going to counter a Gengar every time. It sucks to see Sucker Punch. You always hope that your opponent doesn't have Sucker Punch. Especially with, like, Toxicroak, it's just a punchy Pokemon. But we did resist the Poison Jab. We also have 2 Steel Pokemon, so Poison moves don't really affect this team that much. Which is kind of nice to have, especially with Toxic being fairly prevalent. My phone is going off somewhere, but I don't know where I put it. If you guys hear that dun-na-na-na from Gold and Silver, that's my cell phone. Alright. So basically we're playing a lot of switching around. Somebody's trying to get a type advantage over somebody else. And we're just waiting to see who can get some sort of ground first. And Pharaoh's already taken a really nice shot and taken out Gengar right away. And I'm basically on the back foot at this point. And I need to find a way to do some sort of damage to something. Flare Blitz is doing a lot more damage than I want it to. And Wild Charge, ooh, that's going to OHKO. Out of here. So, Pharaoh is actually doing a pretty good job predicting exactly what's going on. And Wild Charge is a great move to have. So I'm actually in awe of Pharaoh right now. He's doing a great job predicting exactly what's going on. And I'm not doing such a great job. Arcanine's not one that you run into a lot in OU. I think he's in rarely used. I don't think he quite made it to underused. But now he's got Artorias Pharaoh has a decision to make because he knows the Diggersby has Earthquake available. He also knows that he's got Rock Slide, Wild Charge, Quick Attack, a lot of really good moves that can be used. So he has to decide whether he wants to sacrifice his Arcanine, knowing that he's taken out 2 Pokemon. He can kind of afford to run this out, but it looks like he's just going to try and do as much damage right away. And actually, Rock Slide misses. The reason I go with Rock Slide instead of Stone Edge is because Rock Slide misses less. And crit hacks on that extreme speed, that might make a difference later on. But right now, I mean, that's just part of the game. Sometimes you get critted, sometimes you don't. Whether it's going to make a huge difference later on down the road. My decision making might have been a little poor as well, so no matter what, I'm still down a Pokemon or 2. Alright, so Crawdaunt, super fun. That's what I need, is more tea. If I get more tea, we'll be fine. Aqua Jet's fun. Just trying to get that that damage off before I can get anything done. And so that's kind of what he was doing. He wasn't predicting. He wasn't over predicting. He's going to get some sort of damage in whatever switches in. But Venusaur is going to be able to resist quite a bit. And Crawdaunt's going to be able to do whatever damage he wants. Mega Venusaur should be able to resist a decent chunk of moves from Crawdaunt. I think it has access to some ice moves. But it looks like he's just going to sack it and see where he can go from here. Because you don't want to switch in, say, a Greninja against a Mega Venusaur that's going to throw Energy Ball. It also has, what is it, Petal something or other. It does 120 damage. It's basically the grass version of Outrage. And 2 to 3 turns of that, nah, nobody wants to be in on that. Alright, so I'm not sure if I've taken out the biggest threats on this team yet. But this Mega Pinsir potential, I haven't seen a whole lot of Pinsir out there. They kind of got relegated into the lower tiers. So I really expect this to be a Mega. Megas bring a lot of Pokemon up to higher tiers. So something like Venusaur, which was OU before, is going to be basically OU no matter what. Something like Mega Kangaskhan is going to bring Kangaskhan from, I think it was never use, probably up to underuse or overuse. Mega Kangaskhan's really powerful. And so, personal preference here, I do go for T-Wave 9 times out of 10. I will go for T-Wave before I go for Swagger. I'd rather slow the Pokemon down than boost its attack first. So if I slow the Pokemon down, even if he kills Klefki, I'm still going to be able to come in here later on and hit it again. But once you get the paralysis on, go ahead and get the Swagger. Parafusion, it's a really low chance of them being able to hit you. It's not 0, but it's low. Parafusion flinching makes it basically 0. But, I mean, Earthquake, you're still going to take a lot of damage. You're going to take a lot of damage to Earthquake. So, I don't know. It's going to happen. So we've brought this game in a lot closer, a little bit closer than what it was. It's still not in a comfortable position, just because right now it's 2 and a little bit against what will be basically 3 if this hits. So if he keeps in Mega Pinsir's going down. I've got access to Rock Throw, but he's smart in switching it out. If he's got something with Pursuit, that's going to hurt us quite a bit. But switching in Toxicroak is a little bit of a risk. Just because Toxicroak I mean, Toxicroak, if I'd used Earthquake, if I was going for Earthquake on that, I don't know, what is Mega Pinsir? I haven't done a whole lot with Mega Pinsir. Ooh, that hurts. Drain Punch on this, that's pretty cool. Gotta give you that one. So I can either get a Bullet Punch in and try and do as much damage as possible, or I can try and raise it, double the attack. I'm going to basically get 2 shots in. So I'm opting for getting 2 Bullet Punches in just because I wasn't sure if it was going to be useful. Really going for Swords Dance and then Bullet Punch if you're going to survive. But not knowing if it's minimum damage or not, I mean, just try and get the damage down. But at least I'm getting some damage in. That's where you're going with that. Now I've gotten damage in on Toxicroak, so you're a little bit better off just trying to get the Bullet Punch. We already know that he had Sucker Punch. I got some damage in. This isn't looking good for me. I don't think that Mega Venusaur, even Mega Venusaur, I don't think is going to be able to sweep this at all. There's no way. I'm like 97% sure that we've lost this game, which is a great... oh, I'm in Diamond Pearl. I need to be in X and Y. Checking out Mega Pinsir. Alright, so Mega Pinsir, what is your ability? Increase normal type moves by 30%. 30%, and then it changes those moves to flying. Brings him to Bug Flying. That's pretty cool. So a lot of times what I'll go for is I'll go for Synthesis on Venusaur right away against a Greninja, just to try and get as much as possible. Extra Sensory is not something that's necessarily common on a Greninja, but this is a great counter to Mega Venusaur in any sort of circumstance. Because it's got thick fat, it doesn't take extra damage to Ice, it doesn't take extra damage to Fire, but it still takes the same amount of damage to Earthquake, same amount of damage to Psychic moves. So that's just